Welcome and thank you for joining the STEM at Maynooth University webinar. So I'll be beginning the session with Biology at Maynooth University presentation. So please use question and answers box to send your questions. So I'm going to now introduce you to biology degree options in Maynooth University. So biology at Maynooth University has several options. We have very nice options here. Single honors PSc Biology, MH201. We have double honors PSc Biology and plus another subject, MH201. Actually, these two together. And then we have BSc Biotechnology, MH202. Then we have BSc Biological and Biomedical Sciences, MH208. Then we have BSc Biological and Geographical Sciences, MH203. So all these degrees, they are in 4 years duration, and they are semesterized, and they have different models. And all these options, they have final year lab-based projects. So basically, you will find a chance to do some real research experience. So MH202 has a placement option, so which is subject availability in pharmaceutical industries and biotech companies. So minimum entry requirements apply, and courses are open to HEAR and BARE applicants. So why studying biology? So biology science investigates the fundamental what is in life question. So we also try to understand how our bodies, tissues, and cells function. We also try to understand the disease processes and help and develop new therapeutic approaches to treat those diseases, for example, COVID. We try to understand complexities of ecosystems, which leads to novel approaches to protect them. We also look at the genetic basis of the disease, which genes are responsible for the source of these diseases. Again, biology is also interested in food biotechnology and feeding the planet. As you know, that by 2050 will be there will be more than almost 10 billion people in our planet. And also biology, understand how our immune system responds to microbes and pathogens, viruses, bacteria, and fungi. So the Department of Biology has 26 principal investigators shown in the pictures. We have 6 professors, 7 associate professors, and 13 assistant professors. So minimum entry requirements basically for leaving certificate with mathematics 04H7 and English and Irish and 06H7. The overall a minimum of at 2 H5S and 406 and H7S. Also 06 and H7 in a science subject, these include agricultural science, biology, chemistry, computer science, physics with chemistry, applied mathematics. And also points differ for individual undergraduate courses. Last year's points for each will be indicated on accompanying slides. So MH201 single honors. So this includes biology, chemistry, and computer science, data science, experimental physics, mathematics, or theoretical physics. So it's 360 points, it was last year. So basically random selection, but not all applicants on these points were offered places. So year one, basically the candidate must take mathematics, biology, and 2 other subjects, all 15 credits each. And in year 2, you take biology and 2 other subjects, each 20 credits. And in year 3, you take biology and 1 other subject, it's 30 credits each. Finally, year 2, take all biology-related subjects, which are 60 credits. So major advantage of this road is the flexibility. You will see in the next slide, and also the 12-week research project. And there is also the opportunity to take critical skills and electives with this road also. So here is the possible progression through MH201. In the year 1, you have 4 subjects, each 15 credits, maths, biology, chemistry, physics. In the year 2, you have 20 credits each, maths, biology, chemistry. And in the year 3, you have biology and chemistry, 30, and in final year you have 60 credits, biology and also the lab project. The double honors is very similar to, again, but in this case only you have in the year 3 and year 4, you have basically a double subject you choose in the biology, in the combination with chemistry, computer science, data science, engineering, physics, mathematics. Again, points were 360. First year, you must take mathematics and 3 other subjects. In the year 2, you take 3 subjects. Year 3, you take 2 subjects. Again, year 4, you take 2 subjects because it's double honors. That's why you have to take 2 subjects and 30 credits each. Again, major advantage of this is flexibility, as I mentioned. So it has, this time, it has 6-week research projects, but twice in semester 1 and semester 2. So there is opportunity also to take critical skills in elective with this role. For example, if you are doing a biology and chemistry double subjects, the first semester you do chemistry 6-week research project, and then second semester you do a biology research project. Here is an example of possible progression through MH2O. You see in the final year, you get all 4 science subjects, maths, biology, chemistry, physics, and year 2. And year 3 and 4, here an example, biology in combination with chemistry double honors. And in year 4, you have basically 30 credits each. And then you have also 2 lab projects in the biology and chemistry, semester 1 and semester 2. So MH202, or biotechnology. So basically biotechnology leads to BSc honors in biotechnology degree. So the last year point was 455. In the year 1, you must take mathematics, biology, and chemistry, and 1 other subject from computer science, data science, experimental physics, math physics, critical skills, all 15 credits. In the year 2, you take biotechnology. You also take a chemistry and 1 of your year 1 subjects. So 20 credits each for biotechnology. And year 3, you take biotechnology and chemistry. So chemistry is a bit heavy here in this biotechnology degree. You have each 30 credits. Then in year 4, you concentrate on biotechnology exclusively. It has 60 credits. But the advantage of this module, it has 12-week work placement in the final year. So you are placed in one of these biotech companies in Ireland, either some small, larger scale companies. You get really nice working experience in these outplacements. So MH208, so the biological and biomedical sciences, this is another biology degree. So it leads to BSc honors in biological or biomedical sciences. The last year point was 498. In the year 1, you must take mathematics, okay? Then the biology and biological and biomedical sciences, and 1 other science or arts, In the year 2, you just take biology and biological and biomedical sciences, either mathematics or other science subject from year 1. And year 3 and 4, choose from a range of biological and biomedical sciences topics, which depends on your preferences, basically. So the bonus point of this is you have a very extensive research experience. So we have 16-week research project. So 8 weeks in the semester 1 and 8 weeks in semester 2. This is generally, it takes place in one of the PI's research labs. So from one of these 26 researchers in their lab. And then you get very extensive research experience. Finally, you write your final dissertation on your project, your results, and you discuss. Even some students, they have publications with these PIs, so you have a chance to be a co-author in a research paper. So in addition to this, you have also a literature review. And this literature review, then you just search for a certain topic and collect information and write a kind of review on, like, let's say the COVID infection. You just write a review on this. And modules and labs specific for biomedical and biological sciences students. So basically we have at least 8 to 10 immunologists and 8 to 10 microbiologists, and we have plant biologists and ecologists and human geneticists in our department. So there is also, again, the opportunity to take critical skills and electives with rote also. So, and then we have then biological and geographical sciences. This is a new course for 2021, 30 places available, and it was 430 last year. It requires 06, H7 in a science subject or geography. So in year one, it must take geography and biology, mathematics, so 15 credits each. And you also have to take the data science, because data is very important for this geographical studies in combination with biology, really to estimate the future changes like climate change, global warming. And the year two, you must take biology, geography, 20 credits, and you choose between 20 credits of statistics and 10 credits in statistics or general chemistry. And year three, in the third year, you concentrate on basically biology and geography, and 25 credits each, along with statistics. So as you can see, statistics is always associated with this program to have really important predictive preps for climate change and geographical and the weather changes in the future, because this is very important. Final year, you have biological and geographical sciences, so 30 credits each. This includes research activities and short work placement in certain areas. So we have excellent employment prospects. You can be officer, researcher, or analyst. You can be research assistant. You can do PhD. You can do MSc and become an academic researcher. You can operate labs. You can be specialist in companies. You can be a demonstrator in the laboratories, in the pharmaceutical industry and academic research. You have a lot of opportunities for these programs. And we have a lot of companies here. You know, Ireland is one of the headquarters in the world for the biotech and pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer, BMS, Amgen, Alexion, Altec. So all of our graduates, they have high chance to find employment opportunities in these companies. So thank you for your participation.
Thanks a million, Oscar. That's a very informative session on biology at Maynooth University. We had one question there about going into, say, pure biotechnology, or would it be better with someone who is very good at biology at school and not sure what path they want to go down, and they're possibly thinking of coming into MH201 and choosing computer science with biology? What's your opinion on that combination in MH201 at the minute?
All right. Well, actually, someone is interested in biotechnology. If someone wants to do M201, then I would recommend definitely combination of biology with the chemistry, because we have already in the biotechnology program, we have a very heavy chemistry and with biotechnology. So if you cannot make it in biotechnology, there is another way, alternative. You just do MH201, and then you have a biology and chemistry, you combine them, then you will have enough good background, again, similar to biotechnology, then you will have a highly competitive candidate for these biotechnology jobs. And you can also do PhD and masters in this field.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Oscar. And we'd just like to acknowledge the amount of expertise in the Department of Biology at Maynooth University. And we'd see it in prime time on the RTE news, especially in this COVID related. We'd see many of the experts from your department speaking on national media about about COVID and immunology, etc. So there's great expertise in your department, and we would like to thank you for your time, Oscar. Just for our audience, chemistry is about to start now with Professor John Lowry. Don't forget to ask any questions in our Q&A session during this, and there'll be also a live session at STEM at Maynooth at 1 o'clock today too. So I'm going to hand over to Professor John Lowry, who's going to talk about Maynooth University chemistry.
Good morning, folks, and I am just going to share my screen. Great. I need to go back to the start. Okay, good morning. My name is John Lowry and I work in the chemistry department in Maynooth. And for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about chemistry in Maynooth. Just before I begin, could I say that, just remind you to any questions that you have, could you please put them in the Q&A box. Okay, so this is an overview of what I'm going to talk about this morning. So initially, I'm going to talk about where do we find chemicals. Why should you consider, for example, studying chemistry? I'm also going to talk about the pharmaceutical and biopharmaceutical chemistry industry in Ireland, what career options you might have if you decide to pursue your interest in chemistry, which chemistry degree should you consider at Maynooth. There are 3 options which I'll look at: MH201, which has already been talked about, MH212, which is science and education, and MH210, which is our BSc Pharmaceutical and Biomedical Chemistry, which is our denominated degree in chemistry. And then finally, I'll finish the presentation with a little overview of kind of research opportunities that undergraduate students can get involved in Maynooth. Okay, so where do we find chemicals? Well, basically chemicals are everywhere. You'll find them in biological matter. You'll find them in geological matter. You'll also find them in the atmosphere and cosmic matter out in space, and nearly 100% almost of manufactured products have chemicals in them. So chemicals are everywhere, and they're very, very important for life and everything that goes on in the world. So just to take a brief look at chemicals in manufactured products, so kind of everyday things that we use throughout our daily lives. So things like fibers and clothes contain chemicals, glues contain chemicals, a lot of synthetic organic chemicals, paints, if you're painting your house or painting your bedroom or whatever, they can contain chemicals, paper, plastics, medical implants, wound dressings, and medicines, of course, contains lots of pharmaceutical chemicals. Why study chemistry? Well, there are lots of reasons why you might consider studying chemistry. For example, you might have just a general interest in chemistry, so be really fascinated by chemistry and chemistry's role in life and the world. You might be interested in research, for example, leading to a higher degree, for example, a master's or a PhD, and you might be considering a career in research or in academia. You might want to go out into the real world and work in industry. So be an independent scientist working in the pharmaceutical and biomedical or related industries. And it may be a more holistic motivation. You might want to make a contribution to improving the quality of human life, for example. So there are a variety of exciting and interesting and satisfying career options if you decide to choose chemistry as your subject for study. And this slide just kind of shows the wide variety of kind of areas that chemists get involved in. So traditionally, chemists might go into the pharmaceutical industry or work in research in academia, as I've said, or in universities. But there are lots of other industries that chemists work in. And traditionally, industry has viewed chemists as very, very important because chemists tend to have a very logical mind and they work across the spectrum of problem solving. So you'll find chemists in law, for example, in medicine, in education, working on the environment, in physics, in business, and so forth. So chemists are everywhere, much similar to the fact that chemicals are everywhere, chemists are also everywhere. So I mentioned the pharmaceutical and biopharmaceutical industry in Ireland, and this was covered a bit in the previous talk. There are lots of local international chemical companies. And in fact, 13 of the top 15 companies in the world operate in Ireland. 5 of the world's top 10 medicines are manufactured in Ireland. So we have a huge manufacturing industry. And that's reflected in the fact that 30 billion euro in pharmaceutical exports take place every year annually in Ireland. So that's half of the entire exports from the whole country. And we're ranked seventh in the world as the largest global net exporter of pharmaceuticals. So it's very, very important to the economy. And as you can see, approximately 1 billion euro is generated every year in corporation tax. It directly employs approximately 25,000 people and indirectly another 25,000. So approximately 50,000 people directly or indirectly employed in the industry. And currently, though, only approximately 18% of Leaving Certificate students take chemistry. So the industry really, really needs chemistry and science graduates. So, think about that if you're choosing your career. There are really, really good opportunities at the end. So as I said, 5 of the 12 pharmaceutical blockbusters are produced in Ireland. A blockbuster is a pharmaceutical or a drug that generates revenue greater than $1 billion annually. That's considered a blockbuster. And so things like Lipitor from Pfizer are manufactured in Ireland. Zyprexa is produced by Eli Lilly. It's an antipsychotic. And there are a couple of other compounds here from Merck Sharp and Dohme and Centocor, etc. Okay, in terms of career options, well, there are a lot of exciting, interesting, and satisfying jobs out there in the chemical industry. As I've already indicated, there are science-based ones from product development, quality control, working as a technician, and working in energy and the environment, production chemist, process chemist, validation chemist. You can work in clinical trials in the biomedical sciences space. Also working in patent law, so you might end up working indirectly in a chemical industry, but things like patent law, regulatory affairs, forensics and teaching are also other science-based career options. And then there are lots of non-science ones, as already indicated, things like information technology, marketing, sales, finance, and human resources, just to give you some examples. So in terms of a career structure, this slide gives an overview of it. So if you've have a diploma or certificate in chemistry, generally you'll be involved in bench work and report to a manager. A step up from that would be the BSc in chemistry, where you have responsibility within a team, so more responsibility. If you've got a PhD or doctorate in chemistry, so you've gone on from your primary degree and taken a higher degree, for example, PhD, then you will end up usually managing a team at a fairly high level. And then the next step above that is working in, for example, research and development management. So here you have a broad foundation in chemistry and ability to work with scientists in other disciplines, set strategy and direction for your company and so forth. So it's kind of at the top of the ladder. So generally for a Bachelor of Science or BS or BSc degree, chemistry degree, the average salary is approximately 41,000 euro. And this just gives you an example here of an analytical chemist, say for example at the BSc level, be talking about close to 40,000 in terms of an annual salary. And then at the manager level, you could be talking double that, approximately 80 to 90,000. Okay, in terms of options at Maynooth, as already indicated, MH201 is our primary science degree. In terms of chemistry, there's also MH212, which is our science with education, and MH210, which is our pharmaceutical and biomedical chemistry degree. That's a chemistry specific denominated degree. So I'll take a quick look at some of these. Before I do that, maybe we should have a look at why choose a chemistry degree. Well, if you consider the Maynooth Bachelor of Science, the MH201, generally you'd look at that if you're interested in science, but you're really not sure what your favorite area is. So you're not sure whether it's chemistry, biology, physics, maths, or whatever. You're interested in a particular area, but you want to try new things, for example, computer science. You're interested in several different areas of science, as I've said. And then the denominated degrees, the specialized degrees, for example, are MH212. If you've got a strong interest in a particular subject area, for example, pharmaceutical and biomedical sciences, the chemistry one, or you've got a realistic grasp of what the course involves, or you're attracted to the type of employment that the particular degree leads to at the end, so these are things you should consider when you're looking at the degree options. MH201, CO points last year were 360. These are leaving certificate requirements. I'm going to move on from them because they're covered in lots of talks today and will be covered by Eat at the end. Just to say that, if you look at the student handbook, you need to be looking at page 121 for the chemistry under MH201. And this is the kind of the degree structure from first year, second year, third year, fourth year. Chemistry is a subject you can take throughout that degree structure. And as I already mentioned, there are critical skills and elective modules available in second year. So as this is already covered in a lot of detail in other talks, and will be covered later on by Isha, I'm going to move on from it. So just to mention chemistry in terms of MH201, in first year, there are formal lectures. There are also tutorials that you have to attend. So this is the core structure in first year, for example, in MH201 for chemistry. And there are laboratory classes. And then the assessment at the end of the year is an end of semester written exams. So you'd have exams in January and exams usually in May, covering semester 1 and semester 2 subjects. And then continuous assessment is your laboratory work, and that takes place throughout the year, and you get marks for that. It's usually a 70-30% split. 70% of marks going for the written exams, 30% for the continuous assessment. There are elective streams in second year. These can be found in the handbook as well. This is the link here on page 13. And there are also critical skills modules, and these are available in second year. Again, you'll find all the information in the handbook. So MH201, 212, sorry, just to briefly mention that, is science with education. This is a 2-subject science with education. CAO points were 422 in 2020. Students graduate after 4 years with a science with education degree and are guaranteed a place in year 5 for the level 9 professional masters of education. In other words, it allows you to qualify as a teacher and to teach the science subjects. Leaving certificate chemistry is not essential for this, just to point that out. And further information can be found in the handbook on page 156. Okay, so the chemistry denominated degree, MH212, which is our BSc Pharmaceutical and Biomedical Chemistry, CEO points were 452. These are the requirements for the leaving certificate. Again, they're covered in the handbook on page 195. If you want all the details, you'll find them there. The course is structured as follows. So in first year, you've got chemistry, biology, mathematics, and one for mathematical physics, experimental physics, data science, or computer science. In second year, you've got chemistry, chemical biology, and mathematics, and you can select, again, selective electives or critical skills, up to 10 credits, in other words, 2 modules usually. And then in third and fourth year, the subjects are chemistry, biomedical chemistry, pharmaceutical chemistry, chemical biology, and then there's also a placement or internship. And I'll just give you a little bit more detail on some of those. So in second year, for example, we have a lot of other activities. So for example, we have site visits to pharmaceutical companies, which make up the part of the structure of the degree. So you get to do field trips. And then in fourth year, usually between third year and fourth year, the summer of third year, end of third year, and just before you head into fourth year, there's a 6-month work placement as part of the degree. This provides invaluable experience, insight, and practical experience of the pharmaceutical industry. There are a lot of hosting companies and laboratories, included Abbott, Altec, Eli Lilly, for example, Color Trend, Astellas, Jared Laboratories. So a lot of companies take our students on work placement, and usually these companies are spread all over the country. So you'll get 6 months industrial experience as part of this degree structure. And then finally, what I just want to mention is that there are research opportunities for undergraduate students. So these usually take place during the summer, and you apply with a supervisor, one of the academics in the department, and you can spend the summer then carrying out research in a laboratory in the department. Fingers crossed once all the COVID restrictions are gone. So it's the kind of summer program for undergraduate research. And a lot of students are interested in taking this up because it gives them experience of working in a lab. They might be considering, moving on to doing a master's or a PhD, a higher degree when they finish their primary degree. So it's a really, really nice, option that's available in Maynooth. And then finally, when you have completed all of those things, you graduate and you're finished your degree and move on. And so just to say thanks for listening, and remember that not all chemists wear white coats. Thank you.
Thanks very much, John. That was really, really interesting. I like that last slide. John, we had a couple of questions in there,
Sure.
and maybe you could help me out with them, or even just in your experience and your expertise. With COVID, and in the last few months, we've heard of a number of manufacturing or pharmaceutical plants expanding or new jobs announced in Ireland. Would you expect that the demand for chemistry graduates from Maynooth University, and even this year's graduates, would you see that they're in high demand?
Oh, absolutely. As I've already pointed out, given the high number of pharmaceutical companies in Ireland that are primarily involved in manufacturing, You know, most science graduates, particularly chemistry graduates, go on to employment in industry if they want it, but that will certainly increase for sure in both the biological and chemical sciences, analytical sciences, as a consequence of COVID, for sure.
Okay, and the work placement is an integral part of that, makes the Maynooth University graduate stand out. So that would really stand in their favour during the work placement or the spur that you just mentioned there.
Absolutely. We found, even this year, we found that a lot of the students on work placement have stayed in employment. The companies have asked them to stay on because they've got extra work. And then some companies actually employ the students straight when they finish their degree.
Wow, so they have their graduate placement secured in final year before they even finish their studies.
Absolutely. So they come back to us for the second semester, usually in January of the last year, they come back to us. But before that, they're out on 6-month work placement in the real world. Yeah.
Wow, I wish I was young again, John.
That's fantastic. It's fantastic. I wish I had it when I was going through as well.
Yeah. Listen, thank you so much for your time. We have a live Q&A at 1 to 2. So anyone who has any chemistry questions, please log back in. But please stay on for our computer science presentation now. So John, if you wouldn't mind stop sharing your screen, and we're going to invite Dr. Joe Timoney to talk about another exciting department at Maynooth University, computer science.
Murder occurs in this part of the area.
Okay, can everyone see my slides there?
Yes, thank you, Joe.
All right, thank you. Sorry, I just heard nothing at all. Okay, welcome, good morning. My name is Joe Timoney and I'm from the Department of Computer Science. And this morning I'm going to talk about doing a degree in computer science, or we also have a degree in computational thinking at Maynooth University. So this is me here, and I just say hello to everyone. Normally, if we have an open
Joe, I think we've lost your line.
day would be kind of at the stand on campus, but it's not really. Sorry?
Sorry, we were just having difficulty hearing you there for a second, Joe, but you're back on.
Oh, okay, I see, sorry. Or maybe I have some internet connection disability. Okay, so why do computer science? Well, you could ask yourself, do you want to learn about technology? Well, as we see in our modern world, technology is everywhere. We're on our phones all the time. We're using the internet a lot of the time. We're working with computers. Do you want to develop your creative abilities? Do you like to solve complex, challenging problems and make a difference to the world? And do you want to work in teams that have people from all over the world working in them? And if you can answer yes to all these questions, I think you should seriously consider taking a career in computer science. Well, as I said, computing is everywhere. And many of the things we use nowadays, between transportation, satellite information, gaming, VR, cars, watches, our phones, our networks, everything is driven by computing technology. And so much has changed in the last 40 years that it's really hard to fathom how much computing has come into the world that we have. If you look at televisions and how they've changed in all those years, and how even people do their work. And we wouldn't have managed to get through this pandemic working at home without computing technology. It would have been unfathomable to try do something like that 40 years ago. What I'd mentioned first, and it's career roles in computer science and what sort of careers you could take up. So you could work as a senior software developer, an analyst, an engineer, an architect, a lead developer, data manager, working with big data, app development, coding, analytics. And these are a couple of word clouds that are taken from the internet that show you the variety and types of careers you can have in computer science. Going by the ACM list, which is the Association of Computing Machinery, a professional organization in computer science, they give a kind of short breakdown of a number of different types of careers. So you could work in information systems, focusing on the organization of data and information, working in human computer interaction, focusing on interfaces and the organization of systems to enhance usability. Be an information technology specialist, caring for an organization's technology infrastructure. And after the recent ransomware attack in the HSE, you can imagine how important such a role like that is. You can be a traditional computer scientist, designing and building software and developing effective ways of solving computing problems. Or you can be a software engineer, leading teams through complex software development projects and ensuring efficient and reliable systems. As average salaries for the computing profession, if we do, there was a comparison done here in New Scientist magazine, and a computer scientist is higher than many of the other professions because the skills of a computer scientist are so much in demand these days. The sort of companies that hire our graduates, which are leading IT multinational companies in Ireland, hire many of our graduates, such as SAP, SIG, which is a fintech company, Intel, IBM, Amazon. We have many graduates working in Amazon Web Services, and Ericsson's. If you want to see where our graduates might work, you can check LinkedIn and into the search type in Maynooth University Computer Science, NUIM Computer Science, or NUI Maynooth Computer Science. The undergraduate programs then we have in the department, we have BSc in Computer Science and Software Engineering, a BSc in Multimedia, Mobile and Web Development, a BSc in Science, including Computer Science, and a BA in Arts, which includes Computer Science. And you can do a BSc in Computational Thinking. And our department also has various collaborations with music, media, mathematics, education, and the finance departments. A software engineer then is an engineering discipline concerned with all aspects of software production, from early stages of system specifications to maintaining the system after it's gone into use. So nowadays we build software in teams, we work together to make software. And the management of that process is really, really important because it's very difficult. Software is so abstract, it involves ideas, and trying to coordinate a group of people working together to do that is very difficult. And that's where software engineering comes in to make sure that that can happen smoothly and turn out a quality product. Multimedia, mobile and web development, then this looks at technologies that underlie many of the devices and computing interfaces we use nowadays, along with the data types of speech, image, music and video, and associated processing algorithms. So we all use phones, we use interactive television, we're going to have multimedia in cars. It's everywhere. And how we interact and take information that multimedia and those devices is really, really important. And computational thinking then is a unique blend of computer science, mathematics, and philosophy in an accelerated 3-year Bachelor Science degree. And it applies human creativity with the power of computers to solve problems. If we look at the CAO, you'll see MH101, which is an arts degree, and you can take computer science as a subject in that. You have MH201, which is a science degree, and you can take computer science as a subject in that. Also, then we have MH601, which is computer science through arts. So that's our BSc in computer science and software engineering, and the multimedia, mobile and web development with an arts entry. You have then MH602, which is computer science through a science entry. If you take an arts entry, you can, I'll explain what you can add in there, a science entry. And then you have MH603, which is computational thinking. The leaving cert points then for MH601, computer science, software engineering, arts entry. Last year, there were 352 points. For MH602, computer science and software engineering with a science entry, last year was 351 points. And for MH603, computational thinking, it was 532 points. For MH101 then, computer science BA degree was 318 points. And for MH21 computer science as part of a BSc degree, it was 360 points. The leaving cert requirements, for example, for computer science and software engineering are given here, and you'll find them in the handbook. Just the most important thing to note is that in mathematics, you need an ordinary level 3 or a H7 and a higher level grade. So you do need some mathematics to do computer science, but it's not that onerous. And to be able to do any technical subject, you need some mathematical ability. On entry then to computer science, if you take MH201, you take MH101 in arts, you take CS1 as a subject, you can take CS2, which is computer science 2, as a as a subject, or another arts subject. You can take mathematics if you want to progress in computer science, or another arts subject. And for your fourth subject, you can take another arts or critical skills. For MH201, you take CS1 for your first subject, CS2 or another science subject for your second subject. You take maths, which is compulsory, and you take another science or critical skills subject. For MH601, then you take CS1, which is compulsory, CS2, which is compulsory. You take maths as your third subject, which is compulsory, and then for your fourth subject, you take another arts and or critical skills subject. And for MH602, you take CS1, which is compulsory, CS2, which is compulsory, maths, which is compulsory, and then another science and or critical skills. So CS1, I'll explain, and CS2, I'll explain what they are as well. So both MH601 and MH602 lead to either a BSc in computer science and software engineering, or a BSc in multimedia, mobile and web development. And you really specify your choice at the end of your first year. So even if you come in one, you can change your mind at the end. In your first year, I mentioned the subject CS1 and CS2. So computer science 1 is worth 15 credits, and it's taken by all computer science first year students. In it, you have 2 modules worth 7.5 credits each. You have CS161 computer programming 1, which is Java, and CS162, which is computer programming 2, and it's more advanced Java programming and algorithms. In computer science 2, then you take 15 credits. Another 15 credits if you take that, and it's compulsory for MH601 and MH602, and it's optional for all other degrees. In the first semester that you take CS171, which is Introduction to Computer Systems 1, which you learn the processing language, and it's applied to a few different areas of computer science, such as statistics, music technology, robotics, and you learn about how these areas fit in as application areas of computer science. It's 100% continuous assessment based. And then CS172 is Introduction to Computer Systems 2, and this is about the application of logic in computer science. After that, then you progress into your second year. You take 12 core modules that give you the fundamental skills either a software engineer or multimedia, mobile and web developer have. They share a number of modules between CSSE and MMW, but also you have some unique modules for both programs. In your third year, then the 6 modules in the first semester, and then a 6-month placement in the second semester. And that placement is managed through the University Placement Office, and they can get placements in many parts of the software industry across Ireland. And for a lot of students, it's a very, very valuable part of the degree that they get work experience, they get to work in teams, and there's a lot of mentoring in which they learn how to develop themselves professionally. In our fourth year, then you have 1 compulsory module, and the remainder modules are electives. So you have a lot of choice in what areas you want to specialize in. And then you have a final year dissertation project, which is worth 1/4 of the credits for the year. For computational thinking, then you study computer science, maths, and philosophy in an accelerated 3-year Bachelor of Science degree. You learn how to combine creativity and computing to solve problems. You examine the essentials of theoretical computer science and their mathematical foundations. And you have the option of undertaking a 1-year work placement or study abroad between the 2nd and 3rd year, subject to availability. Our computer science department is based in the oldest building on campus, which was opened in 2015. So it's a state-of-the-art facility. And we have very large computer labs all on the ground floor, and then the staff offices are up on the 2nd floor. And we share this building with some of the research institutes and also a business incubation unit, and also the IT services for the university. We have 5 software laboratories, 350 PC workstations, 60 Macintosh computers, a dedicated hardware laboratory, and dedicated research laboratories. And then our final year students have their own workstation. This is an example of our teaching laboratory there. Now, assuming, I suppose we'll all be back and we'll see how things happen with social distancing in the next semester, but are planning to be back on campus. We have over 30 staff in the department, and this is some of the lectures that are here. Our research areas vary from music technology, geocomputation, teaching and learning computer science, digital holography, formal methods for describing computer programs, medical image processing, AI, graphics and simulation, machine learning, robotics and machine vision, fintech, wireless communications, virtual reality, digital archives, cryptography, theoretical computer science, models of computation, cloud computing, and evolutionary computing, and Earth observation, geographic information science, and biosensing and data analysis. So we take a very, very wide okay. Oh, sorry. Another thing then is we encourage our students to do competitions in computer science, and it's a great way to develop your extracurricular skills, particularly when you're looking for a job afterwards. It also is great help when you're doing your work placement. I think employers really appreciate the fact that you're allowed to, expand your creativity just outside the department. If you have any questions, then we have a first year coordinator that deals solely with first year students, and we also have a computer science support center for incoming students. We have a coordinators then for our students on the science course, and also students of computer science and software engineering, and a coordinator for multimedia, mobile, and web development. Okay, so if you need any further information, please contact the department either through the webpage. You can follow us on Twitter and see what's happening on our website.
Thanks a million, Joe. It's Ita back from the admissions office. Joe, we had a number of questions here, and I was wondering if you had a minute to answer them. We had a question from a student who's really interested in taking computer science along with biology because she believes that they're in huge demand, but has never done any coding, no experience of Java, and just wants to know if you're coming into computer science 601, 602, or any computer science program with no experience at all, what supports are there for you, and what teaching level do you start at? Do you assume people have coding, etc.?
Okay. Oh yeah. So we assume that all first year students, we don't assume that they have any prior abilities in coding, and so everyone starts at the same baseline. Okay. So no need to worry like that. So if you're coming in, you don't have to worry about having no experience in coding beforehand. Also, we have a computer science support center, which is free for all first year students, and they can come in, they can talk to a lot of the volunteers that are older students there. They can help to work in their exercises, but also they can also do further exercises if they like to develop their creativity.
Okay, and you mentioned that, about the level of maths, and this has been a question throughout the other science presentations that we've had, and I believe, and maybe you have some experience of the Maths Learning Support Centre. That's a free resource too, Joe, in the library, and computer science students can use that too.
Sorry, Ita.
We had a query about, not having the confidence in maths coming into computer science too. So we were talking about using the Maths Learning Support Centre in the library also. That's an excellent resource for Maynooth students too.
Yeah, so I guess we're the Maths Support Centre, Computer Science Support Centre are kind of very closely linked. And Aidan Mooney, who's our computer science support person, knows Kieran McAvard, who's the Maths Support Centre leader as well. We feel very strongly about giving supports to our first year students to get them through, because it is a new experience coming to university for the first time, and we understand that it can be difficult, but with the right kind of encouragement, anyone can get through.
Okay.
For mathematics, mathematics is part of our degree in first and second year, and because of our links with the maths department, we were trying to make sure that any students have difficulties in the maths side of it can contact the maths department too. Within computer science, we have maths within some of the subjects, but it's very much around logic and the logic of computing.
That's brilliant. Listen, Joe, thanks a million for your time. And I know there's a member of your department on the live Q&A session at 1 o'clock. So if any of our attendees have any further questions, please log back on at 1 o'clock on the Ask platform.
All right, thanks. Sorry about my camera being off there. It was just the cable got loose here.
No problem, Joe. So I'm gonna ask you to stop sharing your screen, and we're gonna now start talking about engineering and robotics at Maynooth University.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye bye. So hello everyone, and welcome back to our session. Now, we were due to start our engineering and robotics talk at 11:45. Unfortunately, we're having some technical difficulties with our academic from the Department of Electronic Engineering at Maynooth University. So in the meantime, my name's Ita, I'm an engineer, so I'm gonna talk until 12.
Sorry to disturb you, I think we actually have gotten Andrew in here now, so just bear with me 1 second.
Oh, thank you, Laura, thank you. Saved by the bell.
Yeah, I just want to double check there.
So
sorry, you just missed a scream there for me. I'm very sorry, folks. My computer has had a complete and utter meltdown today. So I'm very sorry. Let me just share my screen here now. Ita, that's all right?
No, you're grand, Andrew. I was just about to start talking about how amazing engineering is. You've disappointed me now. I was just about to go into full flow, but I have to admit, I am delighted to see you. So thank you, Andrew. Don't forget, folks, you can ask questions throughout on the Q&A session. And Andrew, the physics is due to start at 12 o'clock, just to keep that in mind.
That's no problem. I'll make up the time. Good morning, everybody. Apologies. I should note that my colleague who was on before me, the computer science person, I'm going to lay the blame for my computer issues solely with him. My name is Andrew Meehan. I'm a lecturer here in the Electronic Engineering Department in Maynooth University. And I'm going to speak to you today about our electronic engineering program, our program on robotics and intelligent devices, and also our engineering science program. And again, I'll be on at 1 to 2 o'clock, and we can talk about it then if people have questions. So just on this slide here, and I hope everybody can see it, this is an overview of the electronic engineering program in Maynooth. We offer 2 different programs, a level 8 BE, which is a 4-year degree, and a level 9 5-year master's degree in electronic engineering. And if you do the master's, you will be awarded both the ME and the BE. And the master's is now considered the minimum requirement that you need to become a professional chartered engineer. Both the courses are accredited, which is quite important if you're going to be going abroad. So you probably want to know the good stuff. So the good stuff is this. So typically 360 and above points is required. You will need a H4 or better in higher level maths. However, we do offer an alternative maths entrance exam for people who aren't doing higher level or who are doing higher level and fail to achieve the H4. And we'll have a look at that in just one moment. So really, electronic engineering, what we do is we use technology to improve the quality of life, everything from looking at new energy sources, making things more efficient, better communication schemes, up to robotics. And we are just about everywhere. And here's a couple of slides of stuff where you think, you see the obvious stuff that we see: computers, cameras, phones, and then the less obvious stuff, for example, like your microwave, the control systems in your car, the control systems that deal with making sure that oil refineries and chemical refineries and manufacturing plants don't go boom. And of course, things like pacemakers here, that picture at the top right hand side. So electronics, you can't do anything without electronics these days. And electronics is something that's constantly adapting and changing and evolving. You might laugh at these watches here now back in the 80s, but they were considered cutting edge technology. Whereas now I'm sure that most people have phone watches that do, work as phones and take your heart rate and do wearables. And the same thing for these types of mobile phones. Have a laugh at some of these now. I owned most of these phones, I have to say, back in the past. So really, if you want to see where we are, engineers fit between scientists who kind of discover the fundamentals and technicians who keep everything working. And the engineers are kind of in the middle to get the fundamentals into a state where they can be used by everyday people. And we basically create stuff. Now, just on that special maths exam, so our special maths exam is on this year on the 14th of September. It'll be based on paper 1 of the higher leaving cert paper, and it's about 2 hours in duration. If you go to the electronic engineering page, it'll have all the details there and the sign up page. There's also past exam papers, and we do a preparation course for that exam on the 13th of September. So please do sign up for that if it is something that you're interested in doing. Now, I wanted to study electronic engineering because I think engineering is absolutely brilliant. But particularly here in Maynooth, we have smaller class sizes than a lot of other universities, typically less than 40, which is great. You get to know us, we get to know you. which is very, very nice. I think there's a nice personal touch in Maynooth University. We have our own dedicated PC and hardware labs, which is not always the case everywhere else. And we also have a good mix of international students, which is great for you to deal and develop with interpersonal skills. Now, one of the key features of the programs here in Maynooth University, both the electronic engineering programs and the robotics and intelligent devices programs, is this concept of what we call problem-based learning. So really, what you've done to date is you've been told to do something, you've memorized it, and you've kind of regurgitated it. In problem-based learning, it's a bit different. We give you an ill-defined problem and we said, solve it, right? We're not interested really in you getting the right answer the first time round. It's for you to work in a team and defend the work that you've done. And it's much, much more like the real world, which is what you want to get into. So we have a bunch of other things. We do a quiz night every year, which is a lot of fun. We do staff versus students competitions for football and basketball. We have a very good electronic engineering society, which is run by the students themselves. Lectures, I have to say, are pretty nice. Good lab, good PC facilities. We have a lot of use of industrial grade programming languages like MATLAB, which is important. And then if you do the 5-year program, you'll be able to do work experience. And if you do the robotics program, you do work experience in 3rd year, and that's for 8 months, which is a competitive process. And you also have the opportunity to demonstrate in labs and be paid for, which is kind of nice. So what can you do? Like all the usual electronic engineering type stuff. You can do research, you can do masters. We have people working in financial services, we have people working in NASA and the ESA. You need to understand and remember, of course, that being trained as an engineer means you can transfer your skills to other areas very, very easily. Now, I want to talk a little bit about our BSc in Robotics and Intelligent Devices. So this is a new program that's been out for the past 5 years. It's a mix of electronic engineering and computer science. You don't need the higher level maths as a minimum entry requirement. Points level is about 360 and above. You are able to transfer into electronic engineering in 2nd year if that's what you like. And this is, again, a real project-based module. And what we're looking at here now in intelligent devices are things like medical technologies, things like smart technology for your house, adaptive heating controls, toys and other items that talk back to you are all considered intelligent devices. So what you do with the information is the important piece. And then you move into robotics and you deal with these kind of social and domestic robots, ones that deal with people. Ones that do a job by themselves, right? So these are quite up and coming, these social and domestic ones, and how they work involved in it, and it's a real up and coming area. All right. So again, this is, we'll be using dummy home-based systems, dummy wearable-based systems, dummy industrial mobile robotics to mimic what's going to happen out in the real world, and you'll get the hardware and software skills to do that. And this is just an example of what the 4 years look like. You do some electronic engineering, like everything in engineering, you have to do some maths and physics. You'll then do some CS and projects. And as you see, it becomes more project heavy because applying your knowledge to projects is probably the best way to see if you've learned anything. And it really suits people who are interested in building and solving problems and having a product at the end of it. So that would suit you if you don't want the pure electronic engineering. And it also means you get a lot of kind of access into new areas, particularly, assisted living for elderly in the home is a very big one now. Prosthetics is one that robotics and intelligent devices students are really beginning to have a big impact into. All right, so I'm just going to skip ahead a few slides because I'm conscious of time. Now, the third way you can do electronic engineering is through engineering science. So this is where you go into the general science course, MH201, and you choose electronic engineering as one of your subjects. So you will have to compete with the people in general science to get into that class. Again, you'll be doing the PBL stuff. And what you have, your courses here on the blue, where you choose engineering science plus other ones and end up with either a single or double honors in engineering science. And that will be explained to you a little bit more by the administration people. This suits people who want a bit of engineering, but don't want to specialize. So typically people do it with computer science, or they do it with physics, and it's very, very interesting for a whole lot of people. So quite a lot of different areas you can do for graduates, a lot of research stuff, but a lot of practical stuff as well. Okay, I'm going to finish up there, Ita, with this just last slide, which is nice to say. You know, art without engineering is dreaming, and engineering without is calculating. Okay, so we like people who have a bit of panache and about them, and if you're that type of person, engineering would suit you down to the ground. And I'd be very happy to answer any of your questions in the chat from 1 to 2. And I apologize for my technical issues earlier on.
Thanks so much, Andrew.
Stop sharing there now.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thanks a million, Andrew. And I'd just like to concur with Andrew. And, you know, he talked about the skills that you will develop as a Maynooth engineer, and they're so transferable in the financial sector and the marketing sector, in a wide range of areas. Andrew's available from 1 to 2. And just one thing that excited me in the last the last semester actually, were the final year students in year 5 of engineering who had just returned from their replacement. And they were talking to me and telling me, imagine, Ita, before I even finish semester 2, before I do my final year exams, I have my job secured. And they've that job secured because they worked hard at their engineering and in their work placement. So there's lots of opportunities for you. And I would strongly recommend any STEM courses and electronic engineering and robotics at Maynooth. So sorry about the time, the rush time there, Andrew. But
that's not my fault.
Andrew will be live from 1 to 2. On that note, we're going to hand over to MU Physics. We're very excited. We have got our 2 departments, experimental physics and theoretical physics at Maynooth University. Very excited. We've both heads of department here today. And you're very fortunate, we're all very fortunate to learn about the exciting opportunities offered by both departments. So first of all, I'm going to hand over to Professor Peter Coles. And Peter, you can take it away. Don't forget to ask any questions in the Q&A, and myself and Laura are behind the scenes to ask or to answer those questions, and Craig is there too. And if any comes in that we can't answer, Peter, we'll ask you at the end.
All right. So no pressure then.
No pressure, Peter.
I hope you can see my screen now. I've shared my.
Yeah, that's good.
Can you see it? Okay. So welcome to this presentation. As you'll see from the program, we actually have 2 physics departments here in Maynooth. One is the Department of Theoretical Physics. The other is the Department of Experimental Physics. And these actually 2 ways of studying physics complement each other. And also, I think it allows you a greater flexibility in ways to study physics and physical sciences generally at Maynooth. So I'm going to talk first about theoretical or mathematical physics. And then Craig O'Sullivan is going to talk about, if I can just get my slide forward, about experimental physics. And there is a bit of overlap, and as I say, they reinforce each other. So first of all, to say, one thing that I should make clear is we use pretty much the terms theoretical physics and mathematical physics interchangeably here. So don't worry too much about the difference. The majority of the students who study with us in the Department of Theoretical Physics actually take a course called Mathematical Physics within general science. So if you're thinking about studying with us through general science, then it's mathematical physics that you should look for when you're choosing course options. The department, however, is called Theoretical Physics. And I'll just say a little bit about what it is, because you probably don't know. It's physics. It's definitely physics. People like Stephen Hawking, Schrödinger, Albert Einstein, famous physicists like that are actually theoretical physicists. And what we do is we use mathematical modeling techniques to try and understand the results of experiments and observations, but also to try to make predictions about what experiments and observations should find. So we are mathematical. We're kind of, in the first year of general science at any rate, the topics we cover are similar to what you would study in leaving certificate applied maths. But don't worry if you're not doing applied maths. We don't require you to have done it. We actually cover that material from scratch, but at a university level. So if you have done it, it doesn't do you any harm. But if you haven't done it, it doesn't do you any harm either. So it also helps you with your mathematical skills, which you have to learn in general science as well. I'll say more about that later. So one of the fun things is to try and use physical laws to find out why the universe is like it is, why measurements come up with the answers that they do. But we can also have more fun than that, which is actually saying, well, you know, make predictions about the future, but also postulate what life would be like if the laws of physics were slightly different, if we lived in an alternative universe, which some of us would prefer to do. And so we can apply these mathematical methods to everything in physics, quantum physics. Nowadays, quantum technology is really important. Particle physics, gravitation, cosmology. I myself am a theoretical astrophysicist who works on cosmology, but also modeling atmospheric changes, climate change, and even things like financial modeling, and many, many other things. You name it, you can apply theoretical physics techniques to it. So this is just a quick rundown of the courses that you can take in theoretical or mathematical physics, the actual subjects. Let's say in the first year, we start with Newtonian mechanics, which some of you may have done at school. Incidentally, I should say, if you come into general science or any of our courses, you don't have to have done physics at leaving certificate. You don't have to have done applied maths. You don't have to have done physics. So you just have to satisfy the general entry requirement for general science. In the first year, we do foundational work, forces and motion, Newtonian mechanics. And the second year, it develops into a broader range of subjects. We do some mathematical techniques, especially vector calculus, which you won't have heard of probably before. Third year, it expands into quantum mechanics and computational physics. And then if you do a whole subject with us, you have a huge range of topics, including general relativity, which I mentioned in passing before. So that's just an idea of some of the huge range of subjects you can study with us if you do theoretical physics. Just to illustrate, this is something I used in the first year. I actually do the first year lectures in mathematical physics. This is a schematic description of Newton's law of gravity. You have two bodies and they attract each other with an inverse square law. Some of you probably know that already. But that's what you come across and analyze in detail in the first year, one of the things. And then by the fourth year, you will have brought in a huge range of extra pieces of physics: general relativity, special relativity, quantum mechanics, statistical physics. And some of that is summarized in this picture, which shows the formation of a black hole. It's a space-time diagram, a collapsing object forming a singularity. And then we have the Hawking temperature, famous result from Stephen Hawking that black holes eventually evaporate. And so that kind of segue between those two slides gives you some idea of the territory that you cover if you do theoretical physics. If all that sounds a bit abstract, I'll just mention some of the career opportunities. This number is actually a little bit on the low side now. It's actually higher these days. Something like a half of our graduates go on to do further study in masters or PhDs in research in theoretical physics. But of the other subjects, then basically you name it. One of the things about a theoretical physics degree is the universality of applications of computational and mathematical modeling. So our graduates can work in practically any field that requires those skills, and that's practically any field at all. So we go off into information technology, nanotechnology, biophysics, bioscience, medical physics, and even financial services. A theoretical physics degree is recognized as being very high quality and gives you a unique blend of skills, mathematical techniques, physical techniques, and the understanding of complicated data sets. One of the reasons why we are able to offer such a good degree program is that we are highly research active, and students who study with us have the chance to do research projects. If you study with us to the final year, you can do a research project as part of your degree, but we also offer summer research placements with members of staff. Some of these are through a university scheme, but we also fund our own, and these are paid research projects, and these particularly appeal to students who are thinking about doing research in the future after their degree. So it's very important, the connection between the research in the department and the teaching. Okay, so let me just go very quickly through the various ways you can study theoretical physics at Maynooth. And most of our students, as I said, do general science. Ita's going to talk about the general science program in detail. Let me just point out that there's a maths requirement and one science subject, but you don't need to have done applied maths and you don't need to have done physics in order to do this. The entry points is about 360. And the thing to look out for is that you pick as one of your 4 first-year subjects, mathematical physics. And if you do that and you like mathematical physics, incidentally, if you're interested in mathematical physics, I would recommend personally you choose experimental physics as one of your other subjects, because the more physics you do, the better if you're interested in physics, and you'll learn a bit about how to do measurement and observation. So these complement each other, but I've just picked mathematical physics there. You could end up with a double major, mathematics and mathematical physics and something else, or a single major where your final year is all mathematical physics. And that's a popular option because it means that you can do the whole breadth of the courses that I've showed you in the previous slide. Ita, as I said, Ita will say more about this, so I won't dwell on this here. Our so-called denominated program is called Theoretical Physics and Mathematics, or TP&M for short. This is different from general science because it's actually a 3-year fast-track Bachelor of Science degree. And the entry points are higher, and specifically you need to have done a higher maths. So you have to get a good qualification in maths because it's mathematically demanding. It's basically a 50-50 degree between ourselves and the mathematics department. The points last year for that were about 510. It's typically around that number. This is a much simpler diagram for this because it's 50-50 through the whole 3 years. So I don't need to explain anything there. I should mention also that you can do that 50-50 split within general science if you do well enough in maths and mathematical physics in the first year. So it's possible to transfer from 4 subjects directly into the 2 subjects of TP&M, a variation of our general science degree. And that's a popular route for students since it was brought in a couple of years ago. You can also do mathematical physics through arts in our general arts degree. That may seem a little bit strange to do mathematical physics as an arts subject, but it's brought in there so that you can do mathematical physics together with something from the arts program. So philosophy, for example, is a common, or geography, or some students do music technology and things like that. If you want to pair mathematical physics with an arts subject, that's the way to do it. And we do get a significant number of students on that. Again, the requirement is at least 1 science subject. And you can end up in arts with a double major or a major minor option. Those are possibilities which you can't do. So mathematical physics with philosophy, for example, might be there. You can include mathematical physics in basically a wide range of our courses offered in the Faculty of Science. I've listed just a few here. Many students will do as one of their 4 first-year subjects mathematical physics to help develop mathematical skills and also to help to reinforce other subjects. If you're doing biology, then mathematical physics applies to biophysics and locomotion and movement and things like that. So it's very general. I would also say that you can do mathematical physics, and it's recommended that you do mathematical physics if you're doing physics with astrophysics, which Kriya will talk about later. Now, I've just about run out of time. Let me just emphasize the summary, which is that theoretical and mathematical physics have no laboratory work, but we develop, except for computational physics, which has, we have a dedicated computer cluster, and we actually teach programming in Python using that cluster. So that's our Our laboratory work is a computer lab, which comes in the 3rd and 4th year. The other thing I'd say is that it's very much problem-based learning. So we have lectures every week, but you also have tutorials, and we give you problems to work through with each other and on your own if you want, in order to develop a technique for breaking down problems into manageable pieces. And that's the skill which is really sought after in theoretical physics graduates in the rest of the world. So yes, just a few of the subjects in which you can do a bit of mathematical physics if you want to. That was very quick. I'm sorry for that, but I've only got 15 minutes. Any questions you have, you can put in the question and answer here. You can ask through the online question and answer on Pubble, or if you don't fancy that, you can send me an email and I'll do my best to reply in good time. So hopefully I haven't run over. I think I'm just about on time. So thank you for your attention. And I think Kriya O'Sullivan is ready to go with her presentation.
Good. So I'll just share my screen with you. So could I just check that you can see my screen there?
That's good, Kriya. Yep.
Right. Okay. So hello, my name is Kriya O'Sullivan, and I work in the Department of Experimental Physics. So we're the second physics department in Maynooth University. And you'll see here from this slide, we're one of the science subjects that you can do in MH201. So we just like computer science, mathematical physics, engineering science that you've heard, we are one of the subjects. And I'm going to talk about the 2 degrees that are offered by the Department of Experimental Physics. So that's a science degree specializing in experimental physics, and also the physics and astrophysics degree. And they're both run along very similar lines. Just some of the options as you move up in your degree will be slightly different. So as Peter described, this is the structure of our degrees, or the science degrees in Maynooth. So very often people think of doing science or general science degree like it's somehow less specialized or more general than other degrees. It's not. So when you do a science degree, it will be a science degree in something. And really the advantage of this degree is that you don't have to decide what that something is until later on. You don't have to decide before you start what you're going to specialize in. But I should emphasize that you are as specialized as any other of what we call the denominator degrees, where you choose beforehand what you will specialize in. So just like the structure shown earlier for mathematical physics and theoretical physics, you'll see that if you want to specialize in experimental physics by the end, you will start off and you must take experimental physics as one of your first year subjects. Everybody has to do mathematics as well. Again, we would recommend, if you like physics, do as much physics as you can, take mathematical physics as one of your other subjects, and then you have a choice for your 4th subject. So depending on what your own personal interest is, if it's computing, engineering, you can lots of choice for those other subjects. And then as you go on in the years, you keep experimental physics and you drop one of your other subjects each year. So by the time you get to the final year, you're specializing in purely experimental physics. So the science degree is as specialized as every other degree. But you can see here that really you don't have to make that decision early on. So if you're not sure about what you want to specialize in, this is the degree for you, because you can try everything and drop subjects as you go along. That's how science used to always be done. That's how I did my science degree, and there's lots of advantages to that. It's called an undenominated science degree. You don't decide beforehand, but obviously I recommend experimental physics and theoretical physics. So that's the structure of our degree. If you decide you want to do experimental physics, you don't have to specialize in just one subject in Maynooth. You can choose 2. So you can keep 2 subjects in your 3rd and 4th year. And this has got advantages for, say, if you want to do medical physics, medical devices, you can specialize in experimental physics and keep biology on. So there's a lot of flexibility in this degree. And again, you don't have to decide that straight away. You can see how you go, how you like the subjects. And that's another possibility. So that's a joint honours degree with experimental physics being one of your subjects. There are also possibilities along the way to take other options, elective skills, which other people will tell you about. I'm going to talk to you about two specific degrees: experimental physics degree, so that's if you decide to keep experimental physics as your subject the whole way along, and also physics with astrophysics, which is the second degree that we offer. So this is the first degree, like I've said, experimental physics. We would recommend, of course, taking maths or mathematical physics as long as you can. And the physics and astrophysics degree is based very much on that. I'd say overall, it's probably about 2/3 standard physics and about 1/3 astrophysics. You'll see here in second year, we take probably about a subject and a half to physics and astrophysics. But other than that, it's very similar structure to our standard single honours physics degree. Double honours, say the other option, the experimental physics. So some people, I think one of the questions we often get asked is, denominated or undenominated, which kind of degree should you do? And it really just depends on yourself and what your preferences are. Is it more general physics, or would you like to specialize in a particular area of astrophysics? Do you know before you start what you want to specialize in, or do you want to keep your options open? Say we run the experimental physics degree, that's part of the science degree, and physics and astrophysics, and for that you decide before you come in that that's what you want to specialize in. So it's called a denominated degree in H204. If you decide to do experimental physics or physics and astrophysics, like Peter said, for the theoretical physics, it'd be most similar to, in their first year, most similar to applied maths at Leaving Cert. Experimental physics would be very similar to physics as you'd know it in school, if any of you to take physics for the Leaving Cert. So we study theories, of course, but we also always bear in mind that they should be testable in the lab, and we do laboratories. So what it might look like in first year would be 3 lectures, 1 tutorial where you get help with problem solving, typically, and also a 2-hour lab. So we do consider the lab component very important. And of course, you'll be doing that 4 times, do 4 different subjects in first year. And you're supposed to do a lot of self-directed study, and that's a big jump from school to college, is that there'll be a lot of studying self-directed on your own motivation, and we're always here to help you. So that's what it would look like when you start off in first year. The kind of topics that you do in experimental physics, I've listed some of them here. If any of you do physics for Leaving Cert, you recognize some of them. Some will be a bit different. So we do astrophysics in first year, which you might come across in the Leaving Cert. So even if you have done physics for Leaving Cert, you will still meet new things in first year, but you don't have to have done physics for Leaving Cert. So we don't assume you've done it. So these are just some of the topics you'll meet along the way: nuclear physics, electromagnetism, particle physics, environmental physics, thermodynamics, mechanics, quantum mechanics, relativity, whole range of topics. I mean, really, there's so much out there in the universe that you wouldn't even know about if you don't study physics. I think things beyond our common sense, the scale that we're used to. Our degrees are accredited by the professional body, which is called the Institute of Physics. So no matter which topic you do, whether you do physics, standard experimental physics, or physics and astrophysics, you do all the core areas of physics expected from a physics degree in the UK or Ireland. And that means that no matter which of those degrees you do, that you will be qualified to do any job that a physicist will do. So at the moment, Intel are taking on a huge number of our graduates. They're local and they're expanding hugely. And it doesn't matter whether you've done physics or astrophysics or experimental physics. They're interested in your ability to problem solve and your ability with numbers and computing and so on. So you're qualified for a lot of jobs. You don't have to worry about coming out with too narrow a focus. You really are employable in a whole range of industries and topics. So you'll meet a lot of topics along the way, and you'll be qualified for a lot when you finish. As well as lectures, meeting those topics and lectures, we organise field trips. We take students to have a look at, say, medical physics, oncology departments in hospitals employ physicists. We do field trips for astrophysics as well, to the European Space Agency, also to places in Ireland and the UK, just to give you a bit of a flavour of what it's like for real-world applications of what you're studying. We also have student projects, particularly in your final year, where you'll work in more detail with a member of staff, either on research they're involved in or some sort of more longer-term project compared to the earlier years. We put a lot of effort into make sure you get some interesting field trips and projects along the way. I want to talk a little bit about the astrophysics. So that's the second degree we offer, and say it's a physics degree, so it's about 2/3 standard physics. It's got the same mathematical content that you'd expect a physics degree to have. but it's about 1/3, say, astrophysics topics. That's my own topic as well. I work on observations of the early universe. And I think personally, it's a very interesting way to learn physics. And I just want to mention some of the topics that we would look at in astrophysics, because it's probably not something that you'd meet in school. So in astrophysics, we want to understand the objects in the universe. We also want to understand the universe as a whole, the dynamics of the universe. And to try and study the universe, we tend to look at things which are very far away and very faint. So they're difficult. So there's a huge challenge in actually making observations and trying to get information from the universe. And you don't get the kind of technology you need off the shelf, so you must develop the relevant technology. So if you do astrophysics, you'll have to learn about that as well. We design and build scientific instruments. We've got to make measurements and learn how to deal with data as well. So data analysis will be an important aspect. So you get really good training in lots of different things if you decide to study physics or physics with astrophysics. Just some nice pretty pictures of the things we study. So we study our own solar system, our own planetary system. And of course, for many years, that's all we could study. It's the only planetary system we knew, and we had great theories of how it came about and why it looks like it does. Of course, then now we start finding planets around other stars, and our theories don't seem to fit so well. So it's a hugely active and very current area of interest, is learning how planets form. You just see a huge number of them now around the universe. Our telescopes are getting so good now that we're not restricted to observations of our own planetary system. So we study planets, we study planetary systems in general, how they form. We look at stars. So in the bottom left there, you see a picture of our own sun in a particular type of light. So you see the sun has a huge amount going on in the sun. We really want to understand it for theoretical interest, but also because obviously it has a very direct impact on what's happening here on Earth. We life cycle of a star. So stars, even though they don't appear to change on our lifetime, they have a finite lifetime. They have a certain amount of fuel, certain amount of hydrogen, and they'll run out eventually and they'll die. So stars are born, they live, and they die. Our sun is a nice stable middle-aged star. On the top left, you see some pictures of stars, young stars, and you often see disks, dusty disks around them where new planets are forming. When a star will run out of fuel, it dies. There's different endpoints for a star depending on how massive it is, how big they are. Our star will end up in what's called a planetary nebula, in the sort of middle right of the picture there. If it loses its outer layers off into space. If it was a bit bigger, it would end its life in a supernova explosion. Bottom right shows the Crab Nebula there. It's a larger star and it's gone supernova, and all the elements that were made inside the star get scattered around the area, and the next generation of stars will take up that material. And a lot of the material that humans are made from, actually, this is where it comes from. They were made inside stars, and when they die, they get scattered around. So we want to study all these things that are happening around us, and they're all topics that you would study if you study physics or astrophysics. Of course, we want to look at larger scales as well. The top left there is the Andromeda Galaxy. It's what the Milky Way, our own galaxy, would probably look like if you were outside looking in. 100 billion stars like our sun. Some stars are blue, some stars are red, so stars of different temperatures. Our eyes pick up stars because that's what we've evolved to do, because we get our light from our own sun. But if we're not restricted in astrophysics to looking with optical light, we can look with radio waves. And the top right of this slide shows a radio picture of the galaxy. The red there is a radio image. And you see it looks totally different when you look in the radio. You see these big jets coming out of the galaxy. We don't just see stars that our eyes would pick up. The blue is what our eyes would pick up. So the universe looks very different if we start looking at it at different wavelengths. Bottom left there is another radio image of a galaxy. It looks completely different. So we look at the universe in lots of different ways, with lots of different types of light: visible light, radio waves, gamma rays, X-rays, and so on. And we learn all about that in physics or astrophysics. Bottom right just shows an experiment we were involved with colleagues in Maynooth, and this is at the South Pole, which was a great place to do some observations of the early universe. And in the middle there is a picture of the very early universe before galaxies or stars even formed. And so that's a particular research interest of ourselves in Maynooth. So just giving you a bit of a flavor of the kind of things that you would study, and you see why you need a huge amount of physics to study that. These are just some images we took on student field trips to the Technology Center in the Netherlands for ESA. We have our own telescopes that students can use, radio and optical telescopes. We also take our students to an observing trip. So unfortunately with COVID, we weren't able to do it last year, but we had been doing it up till then. And they use professional telescopes to take observations, to make observations, and then they can work on the data for the project for the rest of the year. One of the students took a drone with them one year and made a nice little video for us of their observing trip. And that's what the link there in the center of the page shows you. So it's a nice one to have a look at and get a flavor for what these kind of field trips would be like. So they go off for a week and they take observations and then work on them. So you get a good experience of what it would like to be a professional astronomer and learn data analysis and so on at the same time. This slide just gives you an idea of the kind of careers you can have with physics. This is from an Institute of Physics booklet called A Day in the Life, where they just asked different physicists to describe a day, and these will just clip out the headings for the jobs that these people had. And these are people in Ireland with physics degrees. So you can see the huge range of topics that are the careers that you can end up in. Really, you're not limited with either physics or physics, astrophysics. The world is your oyster. Just so I finish up, I'll just mention that another option with experimental physics is to do science education. So if you want to teach physics in secondary school, you have to do experimental physics. It's the physics that you need to do to teach physics. Obviously, you teach labs as well as the theory in schools. So that is another option. And say the education department could be talking about their degrees, but experimental physics you need to do. You want to be a teacher. So I'm in the Department of Experimental Physics. My name is Cree O'Sullivan. I'll be very happy to answer any of your questions or to talk to you at another time. Feel free to contact us and we'll answer any questions you have about experimental physics or physics with astrophysics.
Thanks so much. Thanks a million, Cree. And funny, one of the questions that came in there, you just covered in that last slide. Someone had asked a question if it was possible to get a career in meteorology with a degree in physics, but I see that is on your slide there. So yes, your graduates from your department are found in a wide range of areas.
Yeah, we've had graduates go on to work in Met Éireann. So if you ask Met Éireann, they'll be looking for people with good physics and maths, and that's what we teach. So,
brilliant.
Yeah.
And before we move on to our next presentation, Peter, there's just a question in for you about MH206, theoretical physics and mathematics. It's a 3-year degree. It's a H2 requirement. Last year's points were 510. We have a student who is concerned that they mightn't get the H2 in maths and don't really want to repeat their leaving cert to try and get the H2. They might get the next grade down, but they're just a wee bit iffy about the H2. What is your recommendation of subject selection, and would you recommend MH201 as a backup or as
absolutely. In fact, I would say generally, if you have any doubt at all, the MH206 is a fast track thing. It's for people who are absolutely clear what they want to do. If you have any doubt that that's the combination, it's only 2 subjects, not 4, and you have some doubt about whether you get the qualification to get in because it's much higher, I strongly recommend that you go into MH201, make sure you do math, phys, and you have to do maths in the first year. And if you do well enough, you can effectively transfer onto the same course as MH206 from year 2 onwards. And we have about 10 students per year who take that route. It's by far the safest option is to go that way. Also, you will discover possibly if you take that route that, maybe a couple of your other subjects that you take in the first year will think, oh, maybe I wouldn't have taken those if I'd done TP and M. Maybe I'd go in that direction as well. So it keeps your options much wider if you do MH206.
Yeah, that's great, Peter, and that's a great advertisement for my final talk on MH201. So everyone should stay on after a fail and listen to my MH201 talk. So
I'll just say one other thing, just very quickly though, is that we do have a bunch of students who are really sure that they want to do maths and physics and mathematical physics. And if you're sure of that, then definitely MH206 is the one to go. The students are extremely dedicated to what they do, and they like being able to focus on those 2 subjects from the first. So don't, if you're sure of it, go for MH206. If you've got any doubts, go for MH201. It's really quite a simple choice.
Brilliant, Craig and Peter. We're going to let you go. You're live at 1 o'clock on Q&A, and immediately we're going to hand over to Rafael for our second last presentation on maths and stats at MU. And thank you. So we can see that. That's good to go, Rafael. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Ita. So hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rafael. I'm a lecturer of statistics in the Department of Maths and Stats here in Maynooth University. A bit of my background, I actually did an undergrad in biology before I did my master's and PhD in statistics, and that was back in Brazil, and today I work with statistics. So I'm here to talk to you a little bit about our maths and stats and data science programs, and a little bit of what I understand that mathematics and statistics and data science actually are. Okay, so first of all, why mathematics and why statistics? Well, nowadays, and we know that a basic proficiency in maths is essential in the modern world. We are constantly bombarded by numbers, by statistics, now more than ever. If you tune in any news, or if you look at any news online, you will see numbers now of efficacies of vaccines, for example. You will see numbers of people who are contracting COVID-19 or trends and so on. So we are constantly bombarded by this. I have but an example here. 9 out of 10 dentists who tried this particular brand would recommend it. But how do you actually interpret this? How do you actually make sense of this? Does this represent the entire population of dentists? Should that make you choose this particular brand? So we make very important life decisions based on maths and stats, not only which toothpaste we're going to use. And also, we all have problem-solving skills, which makes us extremely likely to succeed at a career in mathematics and or statistics and data science. So because I'm a statistician, I'm going to tell you a little bit about why statistics then? So I'll give you a couple of reasons. If you have a phone and if you look at this particular picture every day to see whether it's going to rain or whether it's sunny or not, and you could try and see whether your staycation this weekend is going to be nice and sunny or rainy, well, there's statistics behind that. There's statistics behind weather forecasting. In scientific research, now we see this more than ever combined with medicine, right? We have the new vaccines for COVID-19, and we have clinical trials, and we have research on them and different compounds that can be used. Of course, there are statistics and mathematics behind all of that, because we need to make sure that these medications do what they're intended to do. In the insurance, have you ever paid your premium? Have you ever wondered why your premium is so expensive or so cheap? Well, of course, they collect data on you, and they will run some sort of model in the background that will calculate how much you need to pay for your premium. In the stock market, everybody's been talking about the GameStop thing that just happened, where it just plummeted up, and then all of a sudden it went down again, and lots of people became rich because of GameStop if they had known before. Well, there's mathematics and statistics behind that. We can create models to predict trends and predict whether it's going to go up or going to go down, to actually guide your decisions, and also quality control and many other areas. Basically, I like to say that statisticians kind of have superpowers, because we kind of have techniques that allow us to predict the future and actually calculate the uncertainty surrounding that prediction, which I think it's pretty cool. But well, I'm biased, I'm a statistician anyway. What is mathematics in the end? Well, I thank my colleague Mark Walsh for sharing these slides. Well, whatever it is, we find it in all sorts of places, right? So here is an example of mathematics found in art. This is the Alhambra in Granada, Spain. And if you look at this, you see lots of symmetrical shapes and objects. If you're interested in this, in our mathematics degree, we have a subject called group theory, which can be studied in these two modules, for example. Another example of symmetry in art is in the Book of Kells, where we can see symmetrical shapes as well. Where else can we find mathematics? And this is what actually draws my attention a lot, and what I really like about maths and stats is that we find it in nature. As a biologist, again, I'm a bit biased when talking about this, but yeah, this is what I like. And look, we see a nautilus shell, and it follows some very intricate geometrical properties. For those interested, we do have modules on geometry and maths biology. And what are these intricate geometrical properties? They're all about the golden ratio, if you've ever heard of this. And it appears in many, many different ways in the known universe. So here is a pine cone where we can see spirals, where if you calculate the measurements, you will find it to follow the golden ratio. Human anatomy, you will see ratios in the human body, not only in the face, but you will see this appearing again and again and again in different places, and it will follow the golden ratio. And of course, if you zoom out a lot, you can go and actually find the golden ratio in galaxy spirals, which to me it's extremely fascinating. So it appears everywhere in nature as well. Where else? In music, for those of you who like playing music, we have Pythagorean harmonics, which have been known for a long time now. But if you have a string instrument like I have here behind me, for example, if you play a string and if you actually play right at the center, you will play 1 octave higher. And there's, of course, other relationships, and we find mathematics in music as well. We find it in architecture. Here we have a replica of the Parthenon, which is a Greek monument in Nashville, Tennessee. We need to understand mathematics to actually do architecture or engineering as well. Right. And of course, going into a bit of statistics now, we have numbers and data everywhere. I have a few examples here from my background. So here in environmental science, this is one prediction of maybe a worst case scenario over the next 100 years of sea level rising due to climate change and what would happen to Ireland. I really like this picture because it not only does it tell us about why we should think about our carbon emissions and about climate change now to try and avoid this, but it also shows that even in the worst case scenario, here is Maynooth, it would still be in dry land, so that's the place to choose for your degree. Right, jokes aside, we have here another example in ecology and conservation biology. This is the Sumatran rhino, and as of today, there are less than 100 Sumatran rhinos left in the wild in the world. What can we do about this? Can maths and statistics help us solve some sort of conservation crisis? Of course they can. We can implement what we call monitoring programs, and with mathematical and statistical modeling, we can try and predict what's going on and try and study those trends to try and propose some management schemes. Here is another example. This is part of my work during my PhD. I worked with bald eagles and seagulls and mallards. And this is actually an interesting picture where the bald eagle was being pecked by this seagull by the top because it was bringing this other seagull to eat. Bald eagles typically eat fish, but they will attack other birds when there's resource scarcity. So here is what I anecdotally call the bird sandwich, which is not really a sandwich, but we want to see in the wild because this means that there are disturbances in resource scarcity. So what can we do about this? So not only in the environmental area, data is actually everywhere if we think about other applications. So do you use Netflix or Disney or Hulu, whichever, pick your favorite? Do you use WhatsApp? Do you use Twitter? This is what happens every 60 seconds on the internet. So more than 87,000 hours of videos watched on Netflix, more than 156 million emails sent, 1 million photos on WhatsApp, 29 million messages. This is in 1 minute. Look at Facebook, a 250,000 photos and so on. And one of my favorites, Tinder, more than 1 million swipes, but only 18,000 matches. So the odds are a bit low, so don't worry about that. I mean, this is only in 1 minute. Can you imagine what sort of processing capacity we need to actually do analysis on all of this? And this is what people are doing all the time, especially companies that are targeting advertisement to particular groups. So we do have a dire need for people who have capacity of thinking with data, thinking mathematically and statistically, and doing analysis on this. Which brings us to the programs in Maynooth University. So these are the programs in maths. So some of them have been mentioned before by my colleagues. So we do have a pure and applied mathematics program via general science, which Ita will talk about general science after myself. It's SMH201, a 4-year program. We also do have, which was just discussed by my colleague, a BSc in theoretical physics and mathematics, which is a 3-year program. We do have a Bachelor of Arts in Math Studies. That's through MH101, which lasts for 3 years. We do have another interesting program, which is called the Bachelor of Science in Computational Thinking through MH603. It's another 3-year program, and that blends modules in mathematics, computer science, and philosophy. So a very interesting prospect for those who like these subjects. We also do have a BSc in mathematics plus an education component through MH212, and that's a 4-year course, and then that will include a 1-year and professional master's in education at the end. Now in statistics, we do have a new BSc denominated entry in data science. I say it's new because if you choose data science this year, you will be the 3rd cohort. So it started 2 years ago. So it's still new. Soon enough, I'll need to remove this new, but it's still new. We also do have a BSc in science where you can pick data science in year 1. So I'll talk a bit about that in a minute. And we also do have our programs, Bachelor of Science in Statistics and Bachelor of Arts in Statistics, which are double honors programs. You will pick another subject you when in your final year with statistics. And those are updated programs. So they're so this is new and these are renewed, let's say. So let's just talk a little bit about what data science then is, because everybody's talking about this. If I tell people I'm a statistician and I work with models, some people may look at me a bit weird. But if I tell people I'm a data scientist and I work with machine learning and artificial intelligence, everybody says, well, do tell me more. So what is that? Well, basically we have data. What's data? A bunch of numbers, a bunch of letters, a bunch of words, and there's no sense in there unless we put it into context and extract the information we need. So we do something here in this black box to generate knowledge. Well, that's where statistics and data science come in handy. This black box could be maybe summarized into three general ideas. So one is manipulating the data so that your computer software can understand it and whether you can ask the correct questions. Visualizing it, well, a picture is worth 1,000 words. You can look at tables all day, you won't absorb any information. You look at one picture summarizing that table, you will know exactly what you want. And also do some modeling, and then you can extract knowledge. To do this, we need lots of knowledge in statistics, but also expertise in computer science and also expertise in mathematics. We need to translate our statistical questions into mathematical questions using a mathematical framework. We need to translate this into a way that a computer can actually understand and do the job for you. So we need programming skills as well. And none of this matters if at the end you cannot communicate what you found to your target audience. And here in Maynooth, it's our job, it's our mission to teach our data science and statistics students to do all of this. And what can you do after? Well, you can find careers with any company or any governmental agency that collects data. So the sky is the limit here. You can work in actuary, you can work as a forensic statistician, you can work as environmental statistician for the government, in medicine, sports, in school, etc. So just to finalize here as a quick session here, if you're doing data science, you will work with data science modules, computer science, mathematics, and statistics throughout your degree. And of course, Ita will talk about this now. There's a new subject option for first-year science students, which is denominated data science. And even those who aren't proceeding with stats or data science, this is valuable for every scientist. So you'll learn basic skills on how to manipulate, visualize, and report on data. And this is a unique feature of science degrees, and they're here to Maynooth. So all scientists that want to collect and make sense of their data science skills would be absolutely excellent. For all of them, it would improve employability after graduation. So this is what I had to tell you today. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, there's a Q&A box there. And also, this is my email. Feel free to send me an email anytime. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Raphael. And it's brilliant. I was just listening to you and I was like, oh my God, this is so good to run into the MH 201 that I'm going to cover in my preparation for preparing, obviously for preparation for this presentation on MH 201. I started to talk to, well, not just started, but I was talking to MH 201 students during the week. And I said, listen, will you tell me what's so good about studying MH 201? And a lot of them talked about the flexibility, the availability of choosing 4 subjects in year 1, which I believe it isn't that common around the country. And one of a third-year student in MH 201, and I never met Raphael until, was it Thursday? We had a trial run on this, Raphael. And I have never heard your presentation before. But back to what the third-year student told me. The student told me that why she changed actually from another institution to MH 201 was because of the subject choice. And why she went on to do statistics. She never thought coming into MH 201 that she would study maths. But she told me that she had a tutor or a lecturer in year 2 statistics, and his name was Raphael. And she found a new passion for maths. He inspired her and she really, really enjoyed the course. And now she's in 3rd year and wants to specialize in stats. And I was like, wow, that's a really nice story, but I totally get it. After listening to your presentation, I wish I was back. Now, not doing my leaving cert again, no way, I don't want to do that again, but filling out my CEO, that's really inspiring. And particularly when you came from a biology background and now in statistics and that, and even the shapes of the shell and the shapes of the buccal cells or the other things that you showed, like my background's engineering, but I'm like, Wow, wow, wow. So it's brilliant that we have such inspiring lectures, and I really, really enjoyed your presentation, Raphael. And as I say, it's a great spin on now to me to start sharing my screen and talking about MH201. So thank you so much, Raphael. We really enjoyed that.
Thanks, man.
So we're nearly home, guys. I'm the last person here, and I hope that what you've heard throughout our talking, now it's not sharing. Laura, you can't see that? No,
not at the moment.
Okay. Typical, the last one. You can see that now, can you?
Yeah.
Thanks, Laura. So you will have heard MH201 mentioned throughout. It's not anything I'm clicking on it. Sorry, last chance, and then I will continue talking over it.
Yeah, if it doesn't open, we might be able to keep it in the...
Yeah, I'll just do it like this. So my name is Ita McQuigg, and I work with Dr. Laura Creevy in the background, who is happy to answer any questions that you may have. Please use the Q&A box there, and she'd love a load of questions to answer, wouldn't you, Laura? So my name is Ita. I'm going to cover a lot of what was talked about in the last 6 presentations, so I won't keep you that long. The one thing that I would encourage you to do is actually take down my email address. So whether it's something I mentioned today or maybe don't mention today in this last 10 minutes, or something that Peter Coles or Raphael or Correa or someone else has talked about and you want more information on it, please don't hesitate to drop me an email before the CEO deadline or the change of mind on the 1st of July. So please feel free to take down that email address. I'm not going to talk about too much in detail about the entry requirements. That was all covered. It is important to highlight that you do not need a language to come into any of the STEM courses in Maynooth University. What I like about this course, and this is back to what I was talking about when Raphael finished, is the MH201 in its uniqueness. It allows you to shape your degree. And what I like about it is the flexibility. When you come into first year, and possibly you might only have studied biology in your leaving cert, or say chemistry or physics, and there's these other subjects that you might never have heard of, and you're like, oh, I better not try data science or engineering science because I don't know what they're about. You're given 4 weeks to make a fully informed decision. So you might come in and think, okay, well, I do biology in school, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do maths because I have to do that. And oh no, I don't know what, I'll pick the other 2 subjects. Know in comfort that you are given 4 weeks to decide that. So excuse me, I have a runny nose, but I would say to you, why not use that 4 weeks really, really wisely, and say, listen, I'm never going to get these 4 weeks back. This is my opportunity to find out as much as I can. So I don't know anything about engineering science, but I'm going to attend a lecture, and I might come out of that lecture and go, well, that really wasn't for me. But I might come out going, oh, I never knew that I had such an interest in engineering science. And in fact, if I combine engineering science with biology, I might go on to be a biomedical engineer and enhance someone's life. So similarly with the experimental physics or other subjects that you've never touched on before, for that 4 weeks, why not give yourself the best possible start in your future in shaping your degree? And it's important to rule things out as much as rule things in. And just by simply saying, I don't know anything about engineering science or data science or whatever, I'm not going to bother, I wouldn't be happy with myself with that. I'd rather go, okay, well, I did try it out. I listened to your one at the open day and I did try it, but it's not for me. But you're happy in yourself knowing, well, you know, I'm making an informed decision. So you've got the 4 weeks to do that when you come in September. So use that well. There is transfer options. I will mention those. As I said, in MH201, you come in and you can choose 4 subjects from 8. You have to do maths. Now, some people will go, oh no, I don't want to do maths for the first year. And other people will go, I love maths. Either way, in MH201, you do it for first year. Now, what I will say, I'm talking to that MH201 student during the week. She never thought that she would keep on maths after year 1, but she found a new love or appreciation of maths and is still studying it in her 3rd year. So if you think, well, as I say, come in with a positive attitude, come in and go, okay, if you weren't that hot at maths in school, maybe it's just something that wasn't sitting right with you, and in your first lecture a light bulb moment might come off and you might fall in love with maths at Maynooth University. If you don't fall in love with it, or if you say, well, actually I still want to just specialize in X and Y, that's fine. But just to know that Joe in our computer science talk mentioned about the excellent computer science resource centre that we have for students. Similarly, there's an amazing maths learning support centre in the library that's free for any student coming into Maynooth University, whether you're studying psychology, because there's actually maths in that, or you're studying business studies, or you're studying any science subject. You can go in to the free Maths Learning Support Centre that's based in the library, and it's peer-to-peer learning. Some people actually make new friends in it. They go in once a week, or they might go in once a month, or they might, you know, just need to go in that once. But the important thing there is what I'm trying to get across in a roundabout way is, if you need help with maths, or indeed any subjects, don't leave it to the week before your leaving cert, or the week, or not your leaving cert, the week before your exams, or the week after your exam results. Go and find the help once you know that you need it. And that's the same in any aspect of your undergraduate studies, personal or academic. Don't feel that there's nowhere that you can ask for help. Lecturers' doors are open, student services, anyone, if you ask for help, I'm sure there's someone in Maynooth that will be happy to help you. So keep that in mind. We want your 4 years. I hated secondary school, hated it with a passion, but I really loved my undergraduate studies, not just studies, but the social end too. And for you to be happy in your studies, you have to be happy in what you're studying too. So as I say, if you're struggling in anything, go and look for some help. These are the 8 subjects that you have to pick 3 from, because you're doing maths, as I said. So, and I'm going to reiterate it, use them 4 weeks well. As you heard Peter Cole saying, you don't need to have studied physics to go into study experimental physics or maths physics. So, and indeed, we have another MH201 student who never studied physics in their leaving cert, and they're completing their PhD in physics. He's in his last 6 months of his PhD. A PhD will mean he's going to become Dr. Stephen. So, and I said, oh, how did you decide to study physics? And he says, I tried it in the first 4 weeks and just fell in love with it. And he never studied it in his leaving cert. So there's stories like that all around. So hopefully, you know, in 2 or 3 years' time, when I'm giving a presentation again, I'll be talking about you studying MH201, and maybe when I meet you here, that you're so happy here. First year you do maths in the 3 subjects, and in second year you continue with 3, and third year you continue with 2, and in fourth year you will have heard the other presenters talking about whether you're a double major or a single major. That's what that's about. I would always say, don't worry what you're doing in fourth year. Worry about your CEO, your change of mind, that you're happy with your number 1 to number 10, and come September or come August, whenever you get your CEO results, that you're happy whether you get your number 1 happy days, or if you get your number 2 or your number 10 choice, that you're happy with it. Then when you come in the 4 weeks, use that well, and then take first year as it is, second year, and then worry about third and fourth year later time. So that's what I say. This journey may change from the start of your MH201 journey. So, you know, you will decide. A lot of people say to me, Ita, what is MH201? What will it be finished as? Well, hopefully during the last 6 presentations, you will have heard some of the careers. But here, it's actually the career options for any MH201 graduate are limitless. Depending what you specialize in, you can become a meteorologist, as Creya mentioned, through physics, immunology. You will have heard, well, if you've been listening to the news, the head of our biology department talking on national media on a number of occasions about the COVID. So the biology we highly regarded in the area of immunology here. I mentioned physics with biology, biomedical engineering, environmentalist, botanist, teaching. That list is just it could go on and on and on. If you want to know more about what will I be studying in, say, data science, if you go into our website, there's a brilliant feature, we're very proud of it, is a course finder. You'll be able to find out the particular modules you'll be studying in year 1 right to year 4, and even the timetable would be up there. Now, the timetable for next year is not finalized, so you go into course structure and you click on year 1 and then click on the subject. I mentioned that you will have transfer options. Now, I will say that these are dependent on year 1 exam results. So once you come into MH1 201, yes, enjoy college, look for help if you need it. But if your ambition is, say, to transfer into year 2 biotechnology, I'm just using biotechnology as the first one there, you will need an overall pass of 60%, and places are limited. So if you know you're coming in with the aim of transferring, please put your head down, look for help if you need it, and do as best you can. An interesting note there, if you come into MH201 and get a newfound love of engineering science, there's actually a chance to transfer into year 2 electronic engineering, and you will see if you come in straight into electronic from your Leaving Cert, electronic engineering from your Leaving Cert, you do need higher level maths. However, if you come into MH201, you can transfer into year 2 electronic engineering without the higher level maths if you have studied engineering science, maths and computer science in first year. Those details are on page 119 of the prospectus. I always hold up the prospectus now, you can't see it there. If you don't have a copy in front of you, please order. No, it's available online, but you can get a hard copy delivered to your door. Another excellent facility is talk to our students. There's an Ask an MU Student function on our website. Make sure and ask Andrea, who's a MH201 student, what is it actually like? And she'll be live and other students will be live in our Ask. That's me finished. I need to jump on the Q&A at 1 to 2, where you can ask me any questions. And again, I hope you have my email address, and there's the admissions email address there too. But thank you so much for your time, and we hope to see you in September. And don't hesitate to drop me an email before the 1st of July. Give me some time to answer and get back to you. Okay, so thank you. Enjoy your day.